1 hank of 3/16 cotton cord, 2.5-inch corner brace. There's a whole bunch of little tiny screws that go to the corner brace. A 2.5 by 3/4-inch corner plate. This one also has a whole bunch of little tiny mini screws that go with it. 1/4-inch wing nut and flat washer. 1/4 by 3-inch machine screw. 1 1/4 by No. 6 coarse thread drywall screw. A simple eye screw. 5/16 lock nut. 5/16 lock washer. 5/16 by 1 1/4 fender washers. 1/4-inch prong mount T-nut. 5/16 by 3-inch hex head bolt. A nice and straight 8-foot 1x3. Scrap piece of 3/4-inch plywood. This is a roofing square. Anything that'll help establish a right angle is all you need. This is a ratchet with a 1/2-inch socket. A tape measure. This is a pair of vice grips, but any pair of pliers will work just fine. Drill. This is a circular saw. You can also use a handsaw. No. 2 Phillips screwdriver bit. 1/8-inch drill bit. 1/4-inch drill bit. 5/16-inch drill bit. 3/4-inch paddle bit. It also helps if you have a beard and or a mustache.
Hi, I'm Ross, and this is a trailer for my new movie, Manhunt 2.
Here we're laying out the tripod mount square. We want it to be cut 7 inches by 7 inches. And then we're going to find the middle of it. Next we're going to drill a 1/4-inch hole through here as a pilot. We're going to have to countersink the T-nut in order for the tripod plate to attach. So figure out how deep you're going to have to countersink into the plywood with the paddle bit in order to get the T-nut seated as low as possible. Now this is the part that's going to attach to your tripod. Find the straightest of your two 1x3s, set it aside. Grab the warpy one and cut a 7-inch long chunk out of it. Now cut a 21-inch chunk out of what's remaining. Now we're going to laminate these two together with those No. 6 by 1/4-inch drywall screws. Careful, you don't want to split the wood. Now this is the vertical upright that the jib is going to attach to. So now we're going to attach this to the tripod plate. So taking the corner braces, lining them up all the way around, we're going to screw all this together to make sure it stays nice and vertical. For the screws that go into the 1x3s, you're going to want to drill pilot holes with that 1/8-inch drill bit. So here we go. Now let's start attaching parts to make this thing fly. So measuring down 1 inch from the top of the 21-inch piece, you're going to want to drill a little pilot hole and then throw in one of the eye screws. Now measuring 10 inches down from the end of the 21-inch piece, you're going to mark a center there. This is going to be the main pivot for the jib assembly. Now make a mark 1.25 inches above and below the line that you just made. Then on the 8-foot piece, make a mark 2 feet from the end. Line them all up so they're nice and centered. Drop a nice 5/16 hole right through both of them. Now we're going to attach them. Throw a fender washer on the bolt, 2 fender washers between the 2 pieces of wood, another fender washer once you get outside that, a lock washer, and then throw the nut on. Now you want to tighten this up till it's just snug. Now we're going to attach the camera pivot. Now from the remaining 1x3, cut out an 18-inch scrap. Make a mark 1 inch down from the end. Drill a pilot hole, and throw in an eye bolt. Now draw a 5-inch line down the center of the end of the jib arm. Drill a 5/16-inch hole through it. Drill a 5/16-inch hole 10 inches down from the top of the 18-inch piece, and using the same setup as before, bolt this all together. Tighten it up again so that it's just snug. And here we go. Drill a little pilot hole to add another eye bolt at the other end of the jib arm. If you didn't countersink your T-nut deep enough like me, you can take a chisel or a knife and cut away some of the material on the bottom. Now put the jib on the tripod and get out the rope. Tie it to the upright camera pivot at the front end of the jib. Run it back through the center support and back to the farthest eye bolt. Now we're going to make the camera plate to go on the front. So cut a 3-inch by 12-inch strip of plywood. Drill a 1/4-inch hole in it. That's where the bolt's going to go that attaches your camera. Take those 2.5-inch by 3/4-inch corner plates and screw it all together. If you just tie the front pivot to the center pivot, it'll move up and down parallel. But if you want to do a poor man's tilt, Run the rope through the center pivot, and you can use the rope to tilt the camera up and down.
Republicans and Democrats are like M&Ms. Sure, they're different colors, but when you get down to it, they're both ooey and gooey evil corruption on the inside. Ugh, will this girl ever stop talking? I guess not. How can I shut her up? Punch her? Nah, that'd get me fired. Maybe if I walk away, she'll realize that I was never listening from the start and just stop talking.
With Pam, and I felt like she just wasn't listening to anything I say.
Mr. Nelson, I have not seen you touch that keyboard once today. If you don't get typing, you and Mr. Bear are going to be having a conversation. And it's not going to be pretty. It's going to look like this, and his claws are going to be in your face. Okay? Type.
God, my boss is a douchebag.
At the tone, leave a message. We'll get back to you.
Best sequel ever would have to be Army of Darkness.
Definitely The Empire Strikes Back. It's rockin'.
Well, the best sequel, probably Saw 2, with the guts and the gore and there's blood scars. Yeah, Saw 2, definitely.
Jurassic Park, Lost World.
The Bourne Supremacy.
X-Men 2. Gremlins 2. Instead of it just being a bunch of little green monsters, it's green monsters who can turn into spiders and who can turn into tomato monsters and bats, and they turn smart. It's really cool. It's a great sequel.